Every mission trip is meaningful, but some can be life-changing. That's what happened last June when youth from the Presbyterian Church of Barrington traveled to First Presbyterian Church in Añasco, Puerto Rico, to help rebuild after Hurricane Maria devastated the island. To hear about their experience, we welcome Reverend Joe DeRosiak, Presbyterian Church of Barrington's senior pastor, who helped lead the trip. We also welcome Emily Bukta, a sophomore at Lake Zurich High School. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you.
It's great to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Pastor Joe, Puerto Rico sounds like a daunting destination. Why did you decide to go?
Well, you know, our youth group every summer takes a mission project. When it came around this year, I thought, well, what might be a good project? And then I realized that we had Puerto Rico sitting there, and we had Presbyterian churches in Puerto Rico. I had a person suggest I call one of our pastors in our presbytery who was Puerto Rican, and I called her and said, is there anything we could do? And she sent us about 5 options. And I looked at the various ones, and then we had this opportunity at the First Presbyterian Church to go and rebuild basically what had been damaged to the church.
What did the church look like when you arrived?
The church actually had weathered the storm. There was damage on the inside because of some water leakage on the roof, and they had begun some of those repairs. We found once you got in there to start messing with water damage, we discovered termite damage. That particular building has been there for over 100 years.
Wow. Emily, what was it like to be in Puerto Rico, to arrive at this church and see what has happened from the storm?
I was not expecting it at all, really. When we got there, they were very hospitable. Adelise was our host. She had all her rooms were made, the beds were folded, everything was neat and nice and orderly. She cooked us dinner the first night, which was awesome. It was amazing. Actually, the people we met when we went to beaches or outside of the church, they were all very nice. I remember we went to a night kind of festival, and where they were playing music, and everyone was very nice to us. They even introduced us, and they acted like we were a part of them, like we were Puerto Rican.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What did you see when you arrived? What did you witness or experience while you were in Puerto Rico?
It was actually better than I expected. It was, if you looked at it first glance, it kind of looked like a normal place, but we went on a tour about the second or third day, and you could really see some of the damage that has happened. She showed us there was a pole, it was just kind of a pole, and it had water damage. It was she said, up there you could see a line, and that was how much had a flood. It was 20,
wow.
30 feet above. It was crazy.
Yeah. We, in one of the sections where we were, they had declared it uninhabitable. We went down a road, and there was a bunch of homes that no one was living in and
wow.
could not live in. They basically declared them, dangerous. We saw on our tour, which was very important for us to see, we saw deep gouges, of course, in some of the roads that had not quite been repaired. They had done a lot of repair on major areas so that travel for us to go to Home Depot to get stuff was pretty easy. But when they did a tour of the town, some of the places there was no watermarks, and one of the reasons why was because this was the tidal wash had come up into the rivers, and that doesn't last very long. It just comes up and goes. It's not. Some of our crew had gone to New Orleans after that hurricane, but they remember the watermarks because the water stayed high for so long. It left all of this. The lines on the buildings, whereas with a storm surge, it comes in and it goes out. So it's not, the damage is done, but you don't see water lines on buildings as much. But we had seen an entire part of this particular city was abandoned, and they said no, they don't allow anybody to live there anymore because it's not safe.
Well, let's talk about the work that you did while you were in Puerto Rico. What was all involved in your rebuilding that you participated in?
Well, we were kind of one of the first groups to go out there. They were planning to have like more mission groups like us come out and live in the headquarters and everything. So we were in charge of doing like a lot of scraping off of the paint, because like when we arrived there, especially on the outside walls, there was a lot of just chipped paint, kind of like looking really kind of old and like worn down. So we did a lot of work there. She wanted to like build this kind of mission trip office area for like a food pantry and all that for further mission trips or youth mission trip people to come and like live there. So we were working on scraping it down, getting some paint on there, getting it ready for other groups to come in and help.
What happened with the termites?
We had this. We had this huge stage, and it had been built over the original stucco platform for worship. But they had built this entire wooden stage over that, and it was all termites. And so we removed this entire stage, and then had to take off all the carpet and scrape off all the glue off the stucco, and it was just sweaty work. It was and dirty, and they worked so hard stripping off paint off of a lot of interior wall space to get it ready to be repainted.
Did you meet anyone that touched your heart? Was there any person that you engaged with that was very memorable?
I'd say the host, Adelie. She was the nicest lady, and I'll never forget her, because like we were just like 12, 14 people who just came from, like, we had no idea what we were doing. Half of us didn't even know how to speak Spanish, so she was very nice. She would help us translate sometimes, because we went to a church service. She made sure to welcome us and show us love. Even everyone there at the church, they were very welcoming. They were like very happy to see us there, and it was nice to like join or like see a culture that was like on like our own. Like they would come up and they'd hug us and be really friendly with us. It was amazing.
And tell her about her teaching you how to cook, because this is one of the things Adelise did, was not only cook for us while we were there, actually had some of them go and cook. Did you get to cook at all?
I didn't get to cook.
But the food was good, right?
The food was good.
What about you, Pastor Joe? Did you meet someone that left a lasting impression with you, or did you see something that left a lasting impression upon you while you were in Puerto Rico?
Well, for me, I think first of all, just the opportunity to be on that, to be there doing something for people who felt like nothing much had been done for them. I guess that's a polite way of putting it. And so, and then we did meet some older couples at one of our afternoons. The kids kidded me, because Pastor Joe's job was to find a beach to go to late in the afternoon after we wore them out working all day. In the late afternoon, we'd find some place to go. But we met 3 couples that were older than me, actually, who lived in the interior of the island. And I distinctly remember them talking about they were without power for 7 months.
My goodness.
And thinking about how we take refrigeration for granted.
How did you grow in faith from this experience?
I honestly learned like to be thankful for what I have, because at our church we didn't like, they had a totally different vibe at their church. They were singing songs, they go around and hug people, and honestly for me, I just learned that there's like, just be thankful for what you have, be thankful for what God has given you in life, and make sure to like help others, because there's other people in the world with like, even if their lives are different, their culture are different, they're still like the same, they're still good people, and that you should help when you can.
I love the way faith translates beyond borders.
Yes.
So thank you, Pastor Joe, and thank you, Emily, for joining us today. I'm LaShondra Stevens for Different Drummers and the Greater Chicago Broadcast Ministries. Keep the faith.